This conference will now be recorded.
The Town of Surfside Beach Town Council, and we're going to start with the invocation offered by John Schaefer of Discover Church. And our police chaplain.
Yep. Proudly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Thank you, everybody that's here, and let's just open in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for those who are here to serve the town. We ask you, Lord, to just be with them, have your Holy Spirit to lead them as they lead us, Lord. We pray for everybody in this room, God, to just feel your Spirit tonight and just act accordingly. And Lord, we just thank you for the privilege that we can come into a town council meeting and pray and open up in your name. So, Lord, we do that right now in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. We're going to start item 3 with a public hearing, ordinance 24-0963, an ordinance of the town of Surfside Beach to amend the fiscal year 2023-2024 municipal budget from Director Gruber. Are there any comments? All right, we have no comments. We're going to move on now to motions relating to the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Walls?
I would like to make a motion that we add under communications to 7B, HDL is the company that the previous council had hired to look into business licenses in our town, and they are here to do an update.
We have a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Are there any other motions?
Okay, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Walls?
Yeah, I think we got it. I would like to add another item to the agenda under communications, 7C. Zane Peterson is here with for an update, maybe a final update on the pier.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're going to add that one too. Thank you. We're going to now move into the minutes approval, the February 27th, 2024 regular meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the February 27, 2024 minutes as presented.
Thank you, Mr. King. Do we have a second? Okay, we have a second. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like
Mr.
to,
Krecklau.
if you have both, I'd like to amend that and include February 21st, 2024.
Just to do them at the same time?
Yes.
There you go.
Second.
Okay, we have a second for that. We have an amended motion to approve both meeting minutes, the regular meeting and the ATAX workshop. Is there any discussion, any further discussion? Did you get the second?
I did not.
I think it was.
Who seconded?
Coleman?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, it was, all right. I heard it down there.
That's good.
Okay. All right, anyway, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're moving into public comments on the agenda items. Do we have any public comments? All right, I see none. We will now move into our communications item, 7A, introduction of the new fire chief. Administrator Vincent is not feeling real well. He had to go home. So I guess I'm going to do it. Fire Chief David Nelson started Monday, yesterday.
How's everybody doing?
I appreciate everybody allowing me to be your next fire chief. I appreciate the fire department. I look forward to working with all the commissioners, the mayor, and everybody else.
Thank you. All right, moving into our new item, 7B, HDL. Mr. Bobby is going to give us what he's saying.
Thank you, Mayor.
here. And as it, my name is Bobby Monroe, and
You get your watermelon there
I'll leave.
or spa man?
That's not yeah.
I know.
Thank you. Like Mr. Skip Walls was saying, what we do is we find businesses that are coming in to the Surfside without a business license, and we contact them, we do all the calling, all the collecting, and we find revenue around those. Since we started a little less than 5 months ago, we've identified 95 businesses that were not paying business license, that were doing business within the town. We have successfully licensed and collected payment on 11 of those businesses. We have an additional 6 of those businesses that are due to be paid, which is about $7,000. Gross revenue generated about $16,000, so that's a little bit over $20,000 already. The good news, and like I told the last council body, the revenue is important. But what's more important is the compliance issue, to get these 95 businesses into compliance. Now, that is just to date. That's not counting this month. Every month, that 95 is going to continue to grow and grow and grow. And it takes time to collect them, as you can ask anybody at the town level. But the good news is that's what we do. And we have about 75 cities and towns that we represent in South Carolina. I live in North Myrtle Beach, and we also have North Myrtle Beach as well. But like I said, this is a great program because your brick and mortar businesses pay their dues, their business license. These guys, a lot of them don't know that they owe it. They come from Texas or California, wherever, New York. They never in compliance until we reach out and collect that on the town's behalf. But we're projected right now to do a little over $40,000 in gross revenue. I don't like to make promises, so my director of operations said, "Don't you?" I said, "Okay, I won't." But for a town or city your size, I think this number is going to be a little bit higher. But we've got exciting things that are in the works, but we never count those until they come in. So, like I said, 95 businesses already to date, and we're getting those in compliance every day. Every day we call them, we collect. The nice thing about it too is that because you guys were one of the later cities and towns that came on board, we already have relationships with a lot of those businesses. So once we call, they'll say, "Where are we at?" I say, "We're in Surfside." They'll say, "Okay, what do we owe?" We calculate their fees, enforce the balance and penalties back to 3 years, which is what the statute allows us to do. And, they don't really give us any pushback. But without an HDL, the cities and towns couldn't do what we do on this part of your business. And as you know, business license is very important to the town. And as I said, the first time I came in here, you're either growing or you're dying. This program will help you continue to grow. And so I just want to thank Jerry, because he was very instrumental. I called on Surfside years ago, and I never could get them to move. And when I met Jerry, Jerry was like, "Why are we not doing this?" And so he saw the value in it. And I told him, I said, "Reach out to any city and town. When you come on board with HDL, you don't leave." And I always say, "Why would you? We're bringing revenue. We're getting these businesses into compliance." So if you guys have any questions, I'm here to answer those. So fire away.
All right, any questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman?
what kind of businesses are you looking into? Do you look into VRBOs and Airbnbs and stuff like that? Because we have a lot of rentals that they don't, first of all, they're renting their houses, not the rentals home.
Yeah.
And second of all, they're not paying hospitality,
Right.
accommodations, and they're not paying their business license. Do you do that stuff too or no?
We do, Mr. Harry, but we are not doing that currently right now. on the East Coast side. Out in California, we have about 800 total municipalities that we work with across the country. In California, it's a big business. We're trying to bring that into our state, and we will get there, but right now, we're not there, unfortunately. So what we're looking at is anybody that does business on the business sector. I know that VRBOs and Airbnbs are huge, but we're looking at more like your big companies coming from out of Florida, bringing in fuel or whatever that you never see. You know, they come in at 3 o'clock in the morning and they deliver, but anybody that is doing business, we will locate, find them. The program about the Airbnb and VRBOs and short-term rentals is huge, and we know that. You know, so the other bordering ocean cities and towns, they're wanting it too. So we're, you know, we're certainly, we're listening to our cities, you know, Columbia, North Myrtle Beach. I mean, they're all in the same boat. So absolutely.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Stamey. Yes, sir. I see out of these 95 businesses you turned in, how many of them was legitimate businesses that the town could, when you looked into them, how many of them really was businesses that was performing in town that we could charge? I see you say 11 and staying now.
Yeah.
Out of the 95 that you turned in, how many of them were rejected by the town for to say that they didn't have business license?
They said they didn't have business?
Well, did have business license or didn't need business license to do business in town.
That, sir, I don't know, but what I will tell you is that the 95 businesses we have identified, they have said that they know that they're out of compliance. So we're now working with those to get those business licenses out there, get them to get into compliance with the town. So all 95 of those businesses were outside doing business without a business license.
Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna finish that.
Yeah, continue.
I checked in on this number today before we came in this year, because it was, at that time, 85.
Okay.
You turned in 85. And they said out of the 85, that they found like 30 of them that didn't even need a business license in town to operate under. So if you go by that number, you're not turning in but 55 businesses.
Right.
So, I appreciate the money you're getting.
Yes, sir.
I'm just asking, how much work and time are you putting on our town staff to check into these things? Once you get them, when you're turning down 40% of what you're turning in.
We are currently working, I mean, there's a team that works with all the cities and towns across the state. And, you know, I don't know the numbers as far as who was rejected or who wasn't, but that was the numbers that I was given from the director of operations. So I will tell you this, you know, before I came in here, it was 0. And every month, we're going to continue to add businesses that were not in compliance. The revenue is going to be there, but like I said, the most important thing is to get them in compliance, because every year that they are in business, they're going to continue to renew with the town, and they will continue to pay, and we'll get them on the portal and get them used to doing and renewing their business license. So I don't know about that 30. I haven't heard that. Candy, the director of operations, is back in North Carolina. And she asked if I could present. I said, absolutely, I'd be glad to. So I told Jerry that he put me on the agenda. So I can get you an answer to that if you'd like.
I appreciate it, but what I'm asking you, why don't they check back with our business offices to find out, once they turn these businesses in, how many of these businesses don't need business license in the town of Surfside, period?
Right.
To do operations.
So what we do is we send the town a list every month of the businesses that we find, because at first we had to get a list from you guys to see who does have a business license, so that we're not redundant in this list. And then if they see a business comes in that they already have, they let us know, so we don't call them or try to collect on their behalf. So.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I had, Mr. Watson, just, excuse my naivety, but
Sure.
Give me a breakdown. What type of businesses are we talking about here in this 95?
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand. These aren't necessarily
Sure.
storefronts or
Yeah.
restaurants.
So it could be anything. Let's say for your restaurants, They have vendors that supply them food, salt packets, anything like that. The business is already in compliance, but all their vendors are not. Dollar General, they're in compliance with the town, but all their vendors are not. The gas station down the street, they're in compliance, but all their vendors are not. So we're continuing to find those every day, every week, every month, and that number, like I said, will increase. So, is it, 95 businesses that we have identified? Yes. Will all 95 of those be valid and paid? We don't know until we keep calling them, to keep following up with them. And one thing that Jerry and I talked about was, we could give, the town a list for 100 new businesses. Him and his staff could start on it on Monday morning, and 3 of them in the office calling. Next thing you know, Jerry calls 2 of them out because he's got something else that's cooking, and then there's only 1 left calling, and then they've got to come out. Then they're supposed to call back 12 of those businesses. Next Tuesday, they're busy again. So this is all we do, and we're very, very good at it. We've been doing it for over 41 years. And prior to that, we were acquired by HDL. We were in business for 134 years. And my joke was, I started the company 134 years ago. But I can't tell that joke anymore, but this allowed me to do that. So, but no, and we were doing this business, prior to us being acquired by HDL. And like I said, they're very, very good at what they do.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Kinkin.
Mr. Rowe, I remember this, but I don't know that everybody, we share these figures. You get half and we get half for 3 years. Is that correct?
2 years.
2 years.
And it's on
Okay.
a revolving calendar.
Okay.
So if we, in the month of March, if we bring on 10 new business, I like to keep the math simple.
Yeah.
So in March, if we bring 10 new businesses on in 2024, and March of 2026, those 10 roll off of our books 100% onto Surfside's. April, another 10 roll, May, June, so on and so on. So it is a continued process. Our clients that we've had the longest was Aiken, Lexington, North Augusta, Gaffney. We still find them 10 to 20 new businesses every month, and they've been with us for over 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. So
It's a win-win
absolutely
for us.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Wallace.
I have a second question. So that just leads me to ask, is this 16,000, this gross revenue that you found, is this our cut?
It's gross. It is gross.
So our cut on this is 8 and some.
Correct. Yes, sir. That
It's
is
still 8 we
gross.
didn't have.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And like I said, that number will continue to grow, and the number of businesses will also continue to grow.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I just have one. You said you don't really get any significant pushback.
Mhm.
I mean, nobody likes you really?
Typically, they don't, because like I said, we are working with so many cities and towns across the state. We already know probably 95% of these companies. If they do give us pushback, I think the last time, this young man was new as well, I think, not too long ago, right? Aren't you the attorney? Yeah. And so I always say, if they give us any pushback, we can't force the issue. We have to turn it over to your town attorney, but we've got all the documentation, all the details so that they can go after them. If you guys want to pursue that, absolutely. But typically, like I said, they are very compliant. And a lot of these businesses don't know that they owe because, they may be from a state that doesn't have a business license that is levied.
All right, are there any other questions? All right, thank you very much, Mr. Monroe.
Thank you, I
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
it. Have a good night.
Let's move on now to item 7C, the peer update. Mr. Peterson.
Hey, good afternoon. Again, I apologize for not being here last week. I was doing the emergency inspection down there at the port, so I couldn't quite make it. Okay, so as of this morning, again, I know Jerry's not here, he's sick. The report that I had sent over to him to provide to y'all was 4 items total currently outstanding as of this morning. One, and these are remediated today, tomorrow before Thursday afternoon. The air handler and the thresholds in the buildings, thresholds being the parts you step over in the door, those are remediated as of this afternoon. We've given direction on that. They know what they need to do. The air handler was fixed today, so those items are considered resolved. The threshold will be completed by Thursday afternoon. And then the two submittals currently outstanding are just the extra materials schedule. That's being coordinated between John Adair and Consensus. That's simply if y'all had any extra, I know, for example, toilet paper holders or siding pieces, windows, anything that's extra where he wants it, how much there is, that sort of thing, where it needs to go. That should be handled no later than tomorrow. And then the final survey for the property, which is just your general survey of the site. All the other surveys have been kept up with and done throughout the project, and we have all those. Substantial completion is intended to be issued this week, so that actual certificate for y'all contractually. And then the final inspection is to be completed Thursday morning. So that's just the CO. The intent there is to get that to y'all before y'all do anything with it. And then the final inspection, again, we'll have that Thursday morning. That'll be, the town has the keys now, so Mr. Adair is actually now going to have to unlock everything for us, no longer Consensus. So we'll schedule that with him. It's meant to be between 8 and 11 a.m. And then we'll wrap that up, and then we'll just finish out the paperwork stuff throughout the rest of the day of the week. And then that final completion should be fairly soon, within a week from that, once we get everything knocked out.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Stamey?
I'd like to thank you, Zane, for what you've done and how you've kept up with it. I appreciate it, and I hope the town will be appreciative of what you've done. And thank you for the last several months coming in front of this board and telling us the updates on this pier. I do appreciate it, so thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Walls?
Zane, I just have one question. Are you all still holding your weekly?
Yes, sir. That was this morning
How long will that continue?
until the contract is completely
Okay,
done.
so you'll still be sitting down with
Yes, sir.
Consensus and all the other?
Yes, sir.
Good, okay, thank you.
Anything else? Short and sweet. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Zane.
All right, we're now going to move into our discussion items. Council may make motions when necessary. We're going to start with item.
It's B.
B is first, but we're going to start with, that's Ruby, sorry. The Athletic Booster Club presentation, that's the Surfside Beach Youth Sports Association, and Mr. Rusty McGill, the new president, is going to speak to us. And Ellen's going to help him with a graphic. I think she.
Yeah, here's the one.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, we should have probably been looking ahead.
Little by little, we're getting there. We're so close. Okay, there you go.
It's like, right?
Oh, nice. I need to see you.
Can you turn the front light on, or some light so we can see?
Backlight on?
Yeah, maybe the back will work first. Is that enough to see?
Good?
I'll try.
Okay.
First of all, I want to thank everybody, the council, mayor, for allowing me to talk. I hope to, within this allotted time, I hope to be able to explain the visions that we have for Huckabee Park, the cooperation thereof. First of all, I want to say that we met with Mr. Vincent and the mayor, and we had a super good meeting, I thought. We shared our vision of Huckabee Park and what we think it can do for the town.
So I'm here to kind of explain that just a little bit. This is Huckabee Park and Martins Park. Not, if I may ask the audience a quick show of hands, who has been to Huckabee or played ball there, had kids play ball there? Okay, very good, thank you. Let me say first of all, well, of course, thank you. But I want to point out the uniqueness of Huckabee Park in this manner. Huckabee Park is not controlled by the city. It's not controlled by a county. It's controlled by the board of directors. Therefore, they do what they think is the best thing to do for the park, to raise money, to benefit the children and all of those in Surfside and other communities. That's a unique situation. That's real good. We're excited about that. We have visions, we have plans. We're really excited about that. The downside to that is they don't have available cash to do improvements that need to be done. I'll give you a couple examples. If you go to Retreat Park, if you go to Waverly Park down in Pawleys, you go to North Myrtle Beach, you go to Central, those parks have good lighting. They have workable scoreboards, workable press boxes. The fields drain properly. They are beautifully landscaped. They have internet. They have cameras for those to watch the games. Those are all the things that these parks have, but they can have them because they're funded by the towns and the counties. Huckabee Park doesn't have that, okay? The board has a plan to enhance these parks. It'll take us a little bit of time, but we want to bring this park up to those standards because we believe it can be a first-class destination point for children wanting to learn and develop their baseball and softball skills. And that's what we're trying to do. The benefits of that, you'll have tourists come in, and you guys all understand the benefits of the tourists coming in. That's what we're trying to do. Also the local community. Now, to upgrade these facilities, it's going to cost a lot of money. Certainly, it's outside the scope of the budget that the town of Surfside has for this park. So we have programs, the board has programs that we are developing that will bring money into Huckabee Park. We rent the fields. We have rec leagues going on. Right now, we have a baseball game starting at 7 o'clock between two high schools here. They're going to play with a scoreboard that isn't working. They're going to play with the lights that they're usable, but they're not compared to any other lights around. The press box, the press box isn't going to be working. But we can fix all of this. We can fix this by generating income for Huckabee Park through baseball and softball tournaments, through USSSA, through DC Fast Pitch. We can do camps, we can do clinics. We believe we can get the fields good enough for it to be a tourist attraction in the summertime. We believe that in the summer, people will come down and they'll pay money and they'll do clinics, they'll do camps, they'll do private lessons. We have access to all this and we've implemented it. So the funding, we believe that we can raise the funds. We're on a mission. Our vision is to enhance the park, to make it comparable to these other parks, and just be good for the town, good for the children, good for everybody. And the way that we're planning on doing that is implementing our programs on a full-scale basis with baseball, softball developments, programs, travel teams, a baseball academy, other teams will rent the fields, but we need to do some work to them. A lot of this work doesn't need to be done now. I'm not, I've been the president for 2 months, so I can tell you that, you're looking to everything, you're looking at somewhere between $140,000 to $180,000. $100,000 of that is lights. They've got the old halogen lights. They need to be LED. It's not something that needs to be done now because the lights are usable. Eric, the maintenance supervisor, we've had a very good working relationship with him. He has been doing, it's all about the communication. We're communicating. We've got necessary tools that we needed. I spoke to him today about just replacing some of the bulbs that are there. They do the fields when they need to be done, and we're excited about working with him. I just want to tell you, we're excited about what he's doing at Huckabee Park. And that's basically that's it in a nutshell. I'm just here to tell you that, you know, we have a program going, and we think that it's going to benefit the town, the community. We think also that these fields should be opened up for multi-uses. If they're not baseball, take, for example, Martin's Field. Martin's Field just sits there. I understand there used to be a lot of stuff on Martin's Field. You know, there was volleyball, I understand kickball, soccer, maybe some yoga, who knows? But just make it open and let these two facilities be used by the town and the community. Just open them up and let them be used. And that's really, you know, I could sit here and talk for a long time, but that's really the basis of it. We're not here asking for money. Most people, I guess, are asking, we're not asking for any money. We're just telling you, here's our plans, here's what we're going to do. We feel like we can raise the money to do it. It's going to take us some time. Of course, if the town wants to help, we're not going to say no. But at the same time, we're excited about this new era of Huckabee and working with the town. We're extremely excited about it. I'll be happy to take any questions. I just want to give a brief synopsis of what we're doing here, and we're all excited about it.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Mr. McGill? Can we have the lights now, please?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Kinkin.
Mr. McGill, how often do you all use the park here in town? You actually have games played on that?
Which one?
Martin's? Yeah.
Right now, sir, they're only using Martin's for practices. The right field fence is a little too short for your 13, 14, and 15-year-olds. It would accommodate 12-year-olds, but it's just, it's real softball, but mostly right now, it's only used for practices. Mainly, I'm also with USSSA, which is they organize all the tournaments. I'm the East Coast area director, and when they use Huckabee, they use all the fields, but they don't use Martin's.
Because the reason I ask is a lot of people in town would like to repurpose that property. And I go by, especially in the summer, frequently, and there's hardly ever anybody there. And we could put some kind of pickleball courts, tennis courts. There's a lot of things you could do with that property, but it's the way it's tied up in this contract. We have to ask permission 30 days in advance to use it. And I just feel like that would be something I would want to change as quickly as possible, because we don't have a plan today, but I think if we wanted to have a plan, we could come up with one pretty quick. May not have the money to do everything, but it's something that the town has asked about, and as a council person, I need to listen.
Well, like I said, I think this should be opened up for all kinds of uses. I mean, it's as far as what could be used there. I mean, imagination, whatever it needs to be used for, it's sitting there. You're right, during summertime. And so is Huckabee. Huckabee sits there from the end of May until the beginning of September, vacant. So we're going to put together a tourist program, and our plans are to get that place going. We need to do some upgrades to it. Because you don't want tourists coming to, I mean, it's usable. It's usable. But I mean, the park hasn't been upgraded. I don't know much about the history of the past board of directors, you know, and the relationship with the town. I really don't know. I just know that we have a new era. But as far as Martin's Field, I don't know how the board would feel about, because I will tell you that they definitely need to use that field during rec ball. They have quite a few rec ball teams and they can't all practice at Huckabee, so they've got some practicing at Martin's. But that's something the board would, I couldn't make that decision. I'm just saying that, the board is saying, let's open up, let's let everybody use anything whenever they can.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Stamey, I have a question, sir.
Sure.
And thank you for being here. The money that's raised from these tournaments, when you put on a tournament, and all the money otherwise that you rent out the field, now, does that all go back into Martinville, or is people making money off of that?
No, sir, the tournaments are actually put on by the different organizations, whether it's Top Gun or U-Trip or DC Fast Pitch or whoever the organization is. They actually rent the fields.
Yes, sir.
And so they'll do the tournaments. Also during those tournaments, since I've been on the board, we also now we have a board member who's doing the concessions. So we want, basically anything that happens at that park, anything, the board needs to get some of that money. You can't expect U-Trip to come in here and do their tournaments and the board get all the money. I mean, they make money, but they give the board residuals every time they do a tournament. I'll give you an example. Last week we had a small tournament, I think it was 6 teams, and the board got $400 and about $50 from concession stand. It's not much, but for example, tonight the high school game is going on right now, and it starts at 7, and they're giving $100 to the board. So you do your camps and your clinics, and
But I'm asking you.
Sure.
Is that money all going back into Martin's Field, or is it being pocketed or put in somebody's pocket for the money? Because I've played in softball tournaments around the country, and it costs a lot of money to put on a tournament, and it pays the teams that's coming in pays a lot of money for that. My question to you is that money going back into the fields out there, or is it for the youth that we're giving the fields to, or is that money being pocketed by the executives of that board?
Okay, first of all, sir, I don't own U-Trip. I just work for them.
Yes, sir.
But I can tell you that when U-Trip does a tournament, of course, they have their own expenses, umpires and different things that they do. But when they do a tournament, the board does get money from it. But most of the money goes to U-Trip. But the board does, I mean, you take a company that's going to do clinics and camps and all that, they're not going to do it for free. But as long as the board gets something every time somebody steps on that field, that's what we're looking for. I don't know if that answers your question.
Not really, but that'd be fine.
We can try again.
If I may, I think when you say board,
I'm sorry?
when you say board,
Yes.
you mean the Surfside Beach Youth Sports
Yes, sir.
Association?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so SBYSA gets several $100s from a
Yes.
tournament. We don't know where everything else.
And
goes,
it
but
depends on the
you get-
size of the tournament.
What do you do with that money? What happens with that money? The $400 or $500?
Well, that goes to the board to decide what to do.
Right.
And they spend it on, they'll spend it on different things like jerseys or, equipment or whatever the board needs. That's not my decision, but they spend it on the program that they have. Their rec fees, here's an issue. The rec fees at Huckabee Park are more expensive than any rec fees around. They're $70 a kid. Most rec fees are $40 to $50. So they're trying to do things to raise some money, such as sponsorships, fundraisers, renting the fields out. But that money goes to the board and they decide how to spend it. But 100% of it is spent on the facilities and the children.
Mayor, I'm going to let Mr. Stamey continue.
Yeah.
If you're.
When you say that, when you say each child has to pay to be in that league.
Yes, sir.
Because, and then some can't afford it. I understand where some don't afford it. But you getting enough money off the parents who's bringing their children out there to pay most of that fees for uniforms and
Yes, sir.
balls
Yes, sir.
for that child.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
it's
sir.
what I'm trying to get at is where's that extra money that you're overmaking by having tournaments, charging people to park in a parking lot? That turns into a right smart of money. And now I'm just questioning who's pocketing that money instead of, because the town spends a right smart of money out there at Huckabee just maintaining what we maintain. And I can imagine what it is if we'd upgrade it to what you're asking for. But I'm just saying there's somebody, or I feel that somebody is not, all the money ain't going where it needs to go.
Respectfully, sir.
Yes, sir.
Respectfully. First of all, Huckabee has never, to my knowledge, had any money. The only money they've had is from the rec fees. Barely enough, according to the treasurer, of course I knew, barely enough to cover the uniforms and the extra helmets and a load of sand here and there and some light bulbs. That's why I got involved. And now you have basically you have a new board of directors. The old board of directors, the children have aged out, and you have a new board of directors who are saying, let's do what we can to raise some money. So, that being said, they don't charge for parking in there. The only money that the board, the association makes at this point in time is a few tournaments. And that's an issue with the tournaments because this field is usable. If we can get the field upgraded, then we'll be able to get more and bigger tournaments through U-Trip, through Top Gun, and through DC Fast Pitch. And please, sir, I didn't come here to ask for any money. I only came here to explain what we're trying to do and to tell you our position, and we think as a board, we have a vision that we can make that place a top-notch tourist destination. It'll take us a little bit of time, but that's our vision.
Mr. Mayor, if I could.
Mr. Walls.
I just want to understand, I think I read in here and doing some research, you are a 501c3 not-for-profit.
That's correct.
That is correct.
That's correct.
So everything that you earn should
It does.
either go into the children or back into the facility.
Every dime from the concession stand, every dime from every tournament,
At the end of the year.
every dime from every clinic, every camp, yes, sir.
That's, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? I guess I'd like to ask,
I'm sorry?
no, it's fine, I'd like to ask.
Okay.
You're talking about a total of $140,000 to $180,000 down the road to get this facility to your vision.
That's what we think. Now, of course, understand, Mayor, I've just been on the board.
Right.
But I understand that, I mean, you need a new fence. I'll give you a couple examples if we got time. For example, the fields need to be tilled. They need to be crowned. They need a mixture of sand and clay on them. Because other ballparks, when it rains, you just wait for the rain to stop, the field drains. At Huckabee, they puddle up. So if you have a rain one day, we've had to cancel 2 tournaments in a row because of the rain. It just puddles up. Now, I will say that the fellows got out there and tried to do some sand, but there's no more clay, no more sand. But to answer your question, what was your question?
I haven't asked my question
Oh,
yet.
okay, I'm
I
sorry.
haven't gotten there yet.
I'm sorry.
So my question is, it's gonna take $140,000 to $180,000 is what you said. You're not asking for money, but the fields are not going to generate those kind of tournaments until some work is done. So it's a little bit of a chicken and egg thing.
Well, yes.
We need to do some work, if not put money in. Is that what you're saying?
Well, here's what I'm saying, Mayor. Let me put it this way. It's my understanding from previous board members that the relationship between the town of Surfside and the board of directors at Huckabee has not been all rosy. Let me just say it that way, all right? I understand that the town has an $18,000 budget for Huckabee. That's what I was told the budget is. And I'm sure that covers the grass cut, not including staff. And I'm sure that's cutting the grass, which they're doing, and the work on the field and all of it. You got an $18,000 budget, and you got all this work that needs to be done at Huckabee. It's certainly not within the town's budget. And the board is not saying, we need some money, help us. We're saying, we think it's gonna cost somewhere between $140,000 to $180,000, whereas $100,000 of that is replacing the lights, going from halogen lights to IEDs. IEDs, right? LEDs, I'm sorry. So-
Yeah, IED is something.
Yeah, so that's.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's $100,000 that, first of all, you can't do it now because you gotta wait till winter time. You know, we're not expecting it to be done. You know, we've got, like I said, we've got a game going on. We got one light pole that's completely out. So, and I've talked to Eric today, and we've got some bulbs. We've talked to Sandy Cooper. So, you know, we'll be able to work with him and get the lights working. And they're usable. They're not like North Myrtle Beach. I mean, you need some LEDs in there, but it's not something that has to happen now or for our summer program, and just like the fields that need to be tilled. It's not something you do now, it's something you do in the wintertime. So to answer your question, sir, yes, we think somewhere between $140,000 to $180,000 for everything.
Okay, so.
The lights don't need to be done now.
40 to 80 minus the lights.
Yes.
So 40 to 80, and you think you can start generating that kind of fundraising just with regular maintenance and doing a little work on the fields?
Sir,
The
I
town
believe,
would have to do?
honestly, sir, I believe we're starting that fundraising now. We weren't prepared to get any more money from the town. We understand the budget of the town. This board is going forward as though we got to do it ourselves. It might take us a little bit of time, but you know, we already had a clinic in there and we're doing camps, we've got field rentals. So we're prepared to do whatever we can to raise as much money as we can. It'll take us time, but if the town was to help us, then we could get done a lot quicker. That's all. I'm not asking for money because we can do it.
Mr. Mayor, can I follow up?
Mr. Staley?
Yes, sir. What, you said the press box?
Yeah.
And the,
Scoreboard?
no, yeah, well, not the scoreboard, the concession stands?
Right.
What does it need to be fixed to be able to use that stuff?
Well, they're using the concession stand now. It just needs, needs to be painted, it needs to be upgraded. And quite frankly, some of the board members, I mean, we have a new group of board members and they're willing to get in there and do some stuff. So they've already cleaned it. I'll give you another couple examples, the bathrooms. You go into bathrooms in these other parks, they got changing stations for the babies, they got mirrors. It's just old, that's all. It needs a facelift, if that answers your question.
Okay.
Just small things.
The press box itself or the whatever, what does it need to be used for?
What does it need to be used for?
I said, what needs to be fixed about it to
Well,
use that?
the PA system isn't working. We don't know what it is, but again, one of the board members is an electrician. He's getting in there and they're trying to fix it. We're using all of our resources to do everything that we can. We can do the things like the painting and replacing the floors. We can buy a change station for the bathroom, paint the floors. That just needs a lot of things. And the board members and myself, we're prepared to do whatever we need to do.
The reason I'm asking these questions, sir,
Okay.
is because I was out there probably a year ago or 2 years ago,
Okay.
and you'd had a fire in the concession stand, and I don't know if they had got that fixed, and the steps going up to the press box was falling apart. They couldn't get up the steps, is that right? And I'm just wondering if that stuff had been fixed, or does the town need to get out there and fix that?
I'd like to address that, sir, if I may.
Yes, sir.
In particular, the steps.
Yes, sir.
I've been in baseball all my life, so I know what's going on, but these steps have been a problem for this board for a couple of years. Now, I don't know why, it just has been. So I talked to the mayor about it, and one of the things we brought up at our meeting, and we talked to Mr. Vincent about it, and I have recently talked to Eric about it.
Yes, sir.
They really need to be replaced at some point in time, but they really don't need to be replaced right now. You got a bottom pole post that's rotten. So what Eric and I have said, he said that when they finish the walkway at the pier, then they can address that. And so Mr. Vince and I, agreed that we'll do what we can to repair them. We can fix them, paint them up, get them looking good, and then look at replacement at a later time. We got baseball going on right now, and we got kids in there every day. But the board's gonna go in there and fix the bottom post and replace some of the risers and get it fixed up.
Well,
Yes.
the reason I was saying that is because I don't want nobody hurt out there. And if we as a town need to address them problems, we can do that. But if you're saying that we don't need to right now, that's fine.
Well,
too.
what I'm saying is this, I'm saying that the board has been addressing this. I'm saying that I talked to Eric, and he had told me that they were, busy doing something else. We need to get something done. We didn't repair. The board can repair them for now. That's not a problem. And replacement, we can look at another time, like replacing the lights or the fence. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir, it
Okay.
really does. But
We're
I
gonna
wish,
repair them.
I wished you would come back at a later time and address this board on some of the stuff that needs to be fixed out there that we might, as a town, can help you with.
I will tell you, sir, that my objective here was simply to explain the vision, how we're
Yes,
going to
sir.
try to get there. And we'd be happy to meet with you at any time to go over more costs, go over more detail, what needs to be done.
Yes, sir.
We'd be happy to.
The last time we had the guy in here come in and ask for this new agreement with Huckabee and all, he came in here and told us all what we wanted to hear, but we never heard from him the rest of the year. And so, we don't hear back from out there until you come here, or whoever, not necessarily you, come here and ask for this agreement to be signed and feel our obligations to the youth. That's the only time we ever hear from anybody else.
Sir, the date of that agreement was January 23rd, 2023.
Yes.
Do you think I was happy when I saw that agreement? We got a new board now, and I assure you, there will be no communication problems between the town and the board.
Do appreciate that.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yes,
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Coleman. He just beat you.
I'm a little confused.
I'm sorry.
I'm a little confused.
I got a bad ear, so go ahead.
I'm a little confused.
Okay.
So you say you're gonna need new lights, you wanna dress up the fields a little bit so they drain more than they hold water.
Can we take that one issue at a time, please?
Sure.
Okay. The new lights that the board would like are going to be, want to be LED lights, more comparable to the lights you have at these other fields. The lights we have now are usable. We've got halogen lights and we've arranged with Eric and Sandy Cooper. We bought some bulbs. So we're going to fix the light situation we have now to get us through the summer. But as far as the cost for the new lights, we're talking about LED lights sometime in the future. Okay.
And who's looking for to pay for that? The town?
Pardon me?
Who's gonna pay for that? The town or you gonna pay for it?
Well, we're hoping that our programs that we're putting together, so we're gonna pay for it.
The reason why I ask is because
That's okay.
on this agreement, it said the town shall maintain / upgrade
Yes.
the fields, facilities, both Huckabee Recreation. That doesn't sound like your group is gonna do it. It sounds like the town is responsible for it. I'd hate to enter into an agreement that says, I know what you're saying, but it doesn't say that here. It says the town shall maintain upgrade as in new lights, upgrade as in fields that actually drain instead of become a pool. So what I'm worried about is that, down the line, you're gonna say, well, you said you were gonna upgrade it. I know I said we we're gonna pay $140, $180, whatever for the lights and all that, but it doesn't say that in the agreement. It doesn't say that anywhere in the agreement, that you're gonna do any kind of upgrades. You're responsible for upgrades. I get it. I have both my sons in that league. I love it. There used to be football in this community. I loved it. I'm all for youth sports, but I want a fair agreement here. I don't want it that you collect the money and then turn around and then say you're gonna fix it or you're gonna upgrade it, and then turn around and say, well, that's not what the agreement says, and that's not what the agreement says. It says the town shall upgrade. So that's the problem I have with it.
Okay, sir, let me address that, if I may. To be very frank, we don't expect the town to upgrade it. If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. So your contract said that you will upgrade the park. Your definition of upgrade is what counts, not ours, okay? So if the town's gonna upgrade at some point in time, great. In the meantime, we're gonna do everything we can to raise the funds to get that upgrade. Now, whether you wanna change the verbiage in that, that's up to you, but I'm just telling you that yes, the town's upgraded, whatever that definition is. Here's what we think it is, and we're gonna do everything we can to fulfill that. I mean, it'd be nice if we could sit here from here now and say, you know what, we got the lights fixed, we did this, we did that, and we didn't have any money from the town. We believe that that's a resource right there, just sitting. That's what we believe.
I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
Myrtle Beach has tournaments, they got these great fields and all, and it works because they're renting them out to all these different organizations.
I'll tell you something they don't have, sir, not Harold. I'll tell you something they don't have. They don't have a baseball complex that can be used for anybody at any time they want to. You can go to Ripken and do a clinic at Ripken for $500 to $600.
Right.
We have programs to really make this pop. In order to make it let me try to be clear. In order to make it a first-class facility like these, there need to be lots of upgrades. We don't have the money to do it right now. I'm assuming the town doesn't have the money. So we're gonna do whatever we can to do our upgrades. In 5, 6 months from now, after the summer, we can tell you where we're at. Okay. I understand what you're saying though, as far as the language in the contract.
Yeah.
But sir, I didn't write that contract, dude. I'm brand new.
I don't have a problem with maintaining for a while. Other leagues I've been with, the parents actually help, part of the payment is they help to maintain the fields. They cut grass, they do this, they do that.
We try to get a lot of volunteers, but please keep in mind that their rec fees for a usable field is $70. Everybody else is $40 and $50. So they're losing kids from rec. So that's another reason for us to try to get more money in here. I mean, I'll give you an example. Ice cream truck's been going in and out, in and out. Well, I stopped the ice cream truck and, the board got money from the ice cream truck. Everything happens there needs money. So I can't tell you that.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we've been going through a lot of the same stuff, a lot. Ms. Fallon had a question. If it's something different,
Yes.
go ahead.
Okay, great technology here. Somebody's texting me.
I'm sorry?
Someone's texting me because they're listening to our
Okay.
conversation here. And they say there is grants out there for this purpose. So whose responsibility would that be? The town or the board of directors to get these grants?
Ma'am, I don't know. I wasn't prepared to talk about
Okay.
grants. I was hoping that there would be a follow-up meeting, we could talk about those things.
But
Right now,
that's
I'm just
nice
telling
to-
what our vision
it's
is.
nice to
Yeah,
know that it's
I've
out
heard
there.
that also. I believe that's so.
Okay, and I think, yes, we brought Mr. McGill in here to give us an idea of the new board's vision. I think we all know that the other board, the previous board, was not in communication all last year. That's why the contract was never signed at all. So we're trying to start moving forward from where we were a year ago. And they've got a new board, and, we're trying to work with them. So I think he's laid out his vision. It's gonna cost money. It sounds like they've got some ideas and ways to raise it themselves.
We're gonna try.
We probably have to hold off on signing anything at this point. And I think that's probably all we need to do right now.
Well, we did sign the contract, it dropped off today.
I understand.
But I
We still
understand
have
there's another amendment to go to.
Right, we still have
Okay,
to, and,
no problem.
and, yeah, we'll get with Mr. Vincent and, Mr. Bouchette, and
Well, then we're just gonna
figure
figure
out
out the balls.
Yes, I understand. Well, I know you're not gonna do it right now, that's for sure. Is there anything else? All right, thank you, Mr.
Again, I
McGill.
want to thank you all
sir.
very much. Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much.
We are now moving to item 8B, whatever. Keep Surfside Beach Beautiful presentation. Our grant program that Ms. Delaplane from KSBB is going to speak about. There's also going to be a general update on some KSBB topics because I've been say before that I want to start getting committees in here to do a regular report out, so this is the first of that as well.
Great, thank you so much. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens. Excited to be here tonight to give you guys an update on Keep Surfside Beach beautiful activities and initiatives, as well as the grant the mayor just mentioned. Thanks for making time for us. We do have a lot going on, so in the interest of time, I'm gonna hit the highlights only. In your packets, you have more detail, but for everybody else, our Facebook page is a really excellent resource of what we're doing, when, where, how to get involved, et cetera. And for those community members that are not on Facebook, we are including our kind of like current initiatives in the quarterly newsletter that Tabitha is now sending out to all residents by mail. So let me get started with outreach. This year, we are selecting one charity or cause each month to support. Thanks to everyone who's already helped us so far. In January, we did a Valentine toy drive for kids with cancer down at MUSC in Charleston. In February, we did a food and clothing drive for South Strand Helping Hand and associated charities. And this month, we will be filling and delivering Easter baskets to local senior citizens in need through Horry County Meals on Wheels. If you're interested in helping us out with that, there's a collection box at Town Hall. We'll also be taking donations directly at our committee meeting this Friday, March 15th, from 9:30 to 11:30 in the morning, right here at the Civic Center. So lots more to come this year on our charitable efforts. Again, our Facebook page is really a great place to keep up with those opportunities. Next, Yard of the Month. So our Yard of the Month program is going to kick off in May. We award one winner each month, May through October. And really the purpose of this program is to recognize and show appreciation to homeowners who do an excellent job of caring for their property and who, as a result, make us look good. They make the town beautiful. The program can't function without nominations, so it's very simple. If you see a yard that looks great, all you have to do is send us the address and we take it from there. Beach sweeps. It is that time of year again. So our annual beach sweep program is going to kick off this year on Earth Day, which is Monday, April 22nd. That sweep will be in the evening, 5:30 to 6:30. After that first sweep, all of the additional sweeps will be on the third Saturday of the month, May through October. And those are going to be in the morning, guys. So those are going to be 9 to 10 a.m. All sweeps take place at 3rd Avenue North Beach Access, as they have in the past couple years. All sweeps family friendly. We provide all the supplies, so biodegradable gloves and bags. And we're going to try something new this year in an effort to really promote the importance of recycling. We're going to be giving participants 2 bags, one for trash and one for items that can be recycled. We do recognize this is going to require some additional effort on the part of participants, but we think it's important. So we're going to give it a go, and we hope it can be successful. Additionally, at every sweep, we collect non-perishable donations for South Strand Helping Hand. Arbor Day, Friday, April 26th. We will be hosting the 4th annual Arbor Day tree planting celebration on that day at 10 a.m. Working with Director Adair and his team, we've selected a crepe myrtle to be planted at Harrison Park. There will be complimentary coffee and donuts from Lee and his team over at Benjamin's Bakery. We really appreciate them. And there will also be free tree seedlings for anyone who wishes to plant a tree in their own yard. Cigarette litter, our #1 source of litter here in town, especially on the beach. We're really working to continue to improve the cigarette litter prevention program that we launched last spring. And again, we've been working with Director Adair and his team to relocate some of the receptacles that are a little bit harder to see, and we're also going to be adding some stickers, some brightly colored stickers, just to make sure that they're as visible as possible for people. And just a reminder on how this program works. So the Public Works team and KSBB, we go and we collect the cigarette butts from the receptacles, package them up, send them off, and they're recycled into usable goods and products. That's pretty cool. Town event support. So as always, we continue to provide the town with event support, especially Tabitha and Eileen. In just the couple weeks ahead, we'll be volunteering on Thursday night at the Surfside Beach Birthday Bash. Sure is going to be a fun night. Hope to see you all there. And we will also be volunteering at the Easter egg hunt and children's fair on Saturday, March 23rd over at Huckabee Fields. One of our members will even be there dressed up as the Easter Bunny. And I have one more item to cover, and I am gonna go into a little bit more detail on this one. This is the grant project, or the Harrison Park project, as I'm calling it. A little bit of background. So in January, Coastal Carolina Association of Realtors kind of handpicked Surfside Beach to apply for a grant through the National Association of Realtors. It's called the Placemaking Grant. The purpose of the grant is to transform an unused space into a place. So the mayor and town administrator asked KSBB to spearhead this effort. The first thing we did was identify possible locations. We identified 7 of those, and we vetted our top 3 with Director Adair and his team, and ultimately narrowed it down in just a moment.
Okay.
And ultimately narrowed it down to our recommendation, which is the Bill Harrison Senior Memorial Park. We submitted the application a few weeks ago, and we also applied for a second grant through AARP to subsidize the total cost of the project. So now I would like to take you through a few slides just so you can get a better understanding of why we selected Harrison Park and what the scope of the project entails. Perfect, thank you. So here you can see a panoramic picture of Harrison Park. Some of you are, I'm sure, are familiar with it. It's at the corner of Poplar and Surfside Drive, adjacent to Sundown Restaurant. You can see Sundown Restaurant back there on the left. A little bit of background on the park, some of you may or may not be aware. In 2011, Surfside had to take a slice of Memorial Park in order to finish building our library. And because Memorial Park was encumbered by grants, we actually had to create an equivalent amount of park space elsewhere. And that is how Harrison Park came to be. Named after the first mayor of the town of Surfside Beach. Harrison also opened one of the first businesses in town, located on what is now 17 Business, the first grocery store in the area. And in 1964, Mr. Harrison and a small group of men saw the need to improve services to residents, so they incorporated to become the town of Surfside Beach. So a lot of history there, some of you may or may not be aware of. And since those early days, the Harrison family, from what I understand, has been instrumental in the growth of the town. So that's how that park came to be and got its name. So why did we ultimately recommend Harrison Park for this project? It's located at the primary entry point of town, right off Surfside Drive, so highly visible as you come into town. And it's very underutilized. Outside of 2 benches and the statue, which you can very clearly see in this photo, there's really not much happening here. So there's lots of potential to transform it into a welcoming, functional, and attractive space. Now, so what are we trying to do with this park? What is the scope of the revitalization project? So these photos up here are kind of like inspiration photos. These aren't necessarily the exact items that we would ultimately choose, but they're a good representation. We would like to add a fountain with some pavers and some boxwood shrubs, some swings, better lighting. Right now that area is pretty dark. A table with some attached seating, some local artwork to cover the electric boxes, some really cool, large Adirondack chairs that will be branded with Surfside Beach logo, and a nice sturdy welcome sign with an insert that can be customized for important messages, event info, etc. Lastly, but very important, dog waste, trash, and recycling receptacles. So keep some of these images in mind here as I navigate to the next page, which is the design plan. And I'm gonna just move over here so I can point a little bit closer for you guys, and I'll try to project my voice as much as possible. Can you all see if I'm with this? Okay. So the fountain I mentioned would be centrally located here. The existing benches would be positioned on either side of the fountain. These are where the pavers would be, and the low boxwood shrubs here. 2 crepe myrtles would be planted. As you recall, we're going to be planting one of those on Arbor Day already. Okay, so we would be adding a second one through this grant. Some new lighting here and here. These are all existing crepe myrtles up here, by the way. Swing 1, swing 2. 2 nice big Surfside Beach branded chairs and our welcome sign here. And then the electric boxes that are on the corners would be covered and painted. And then this would be our table with the attached seating. Timing wise, we will hear something back from both grants in April or May. It's certainly possible, you guys, that we will not get all the money that we've requested. We are well aware of that. We have ideas on how to scale down the project to be at a lower price point. And ultimately, of course, everything will need to come in front of you to council for review and approval once we hear.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions for Ms. Delaflame? Thanks for the lights. Ellie?
Good morning.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think it was clear. So, well, looks like Mr. Stamey.
Ellen, what about, you said you applied for a second grant?
Yes.
What kind of money was it for, please?
It was for a little bit under 30 grand,
Plus the one that you got already in progress?
7,500.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? So we're not asking for any activity at this point. We want to see what responses we get for the grants before we move forward. But I did want to bring KSBB in to give an update of what they do. As I said, I want all committees to be doing that soon, and I wanted everybody to be familiar with the grant request they've already submitted. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are now moving into item 9 business. Business 9A is resolution 24-0169. Allow a temporary closure of a public roadway for the First Baptist Church. Ms. Mall?
Hello, good evening, everyone. I just want to stop for a second and just thank Keep Surfside Beach Beautiful for all of your work that you do. It is totally volunteer, no money, no nothing. All this is coming out of their time. And time, as we all know, is very precious, as you guys all are. So yes, I am here to present resolution of the town of Surfside Beach to allow temporary closure of a public roadway. The First Baptist Church is requesting the town to temporarily close Cherry Street North from 15th Avenue North to 16th Avenue North. This is for their annual event, Eggs Extravaganza. And that is going to happen on March the 30th, 2024 from 8 a.m. or at 8 a.m. and then it goes to noon. So I'm asking you guys to temporarily suspend enforcement for the event, for the church.
All right, do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Stamey?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the resolution of closing the Surfside Road, 15th through 16th north of the church. Resolution is 24-0169.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to temporarily close Cherry Street North from 15th Avenue to 16th Avenue North from 8 to 12 on March 30th. Is there any discussion? All right, then, you want to go through the vote procedure?
Ms. Fallon?
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. Crickwell?
Yes.
Mr. Stamey?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mayor Kraft?
Yes. Okay, that passes unanimously. We are now moving on to resolution 24-0167, ATAX funding recommendations. We're going to have Director Gruber for that.
Good evening. I had the resolution in front of you is to allocate the money remaining from fiscal year 2023. The amount is $511,000, $511,168. We had the workshop, and I think there might be some people that will make some changes, so.
Okay. With that in mind, do we have a motion to approve resolution 24-0167, ATAX funding recommendations?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Krecklau?
I make a motion to accept resolution number 24-0167.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for resolution 24-0167, ATAX funding recommendations. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Mr.
Mayor,
Stamey?
I'd like to amend what we've got here and allocate some money, change a little things around on this thing. I'd like to see us do away with the trikes for the police department, which is $28,000. And I'd like to see us take $25,000 out of the events fund and transfer that money into the police department's fund to buy radios for the police department that we need to start updating and start getting in that area.
Very well. Is there any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Krecklau?
I'd like to, I don't know what to do with the money, but the Flock Safety Network, I just read that the state is suspending any Flock cameras on state roads. Now, it doesn't mean we can't add to ours, but if they're suspending it for whatever reasons, some of it is privacy concerns, which, man, that's probably a concern. But I just think if they're suspending it, maybe we should hold off on spending the money on them. It is a continued cost is one of the problems I have. We have most of our entrance and exit points covered. That's just my idea.
Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Shaw?
Tagging along with the flock, I researched that when they came out in the news. Where they suspended those cameras is the towns didn't get initial approval. So I'm sure that our town, our chief of police has gotten approval for all of ours. So I just want to let you know that it's not across the board. The company, they're shutting down. It's the fact that certain towns and cities didn't get prior approval. So they're the ones being shut down until they get their approval. It's not across the board.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Stamey?
Would I recommend that Mr. Hoffman, Chief of Police, come up and explain this to us? Because I think he has a little our background on the knowledge of what's going on with the Flock system.
Any objections from council?
No.
No. Come on up, Chief, please.
Good evening, everyone. So I was made aware that this was a concern, and thank you for mentioning that, Councilwoman. So Flock is responsible for getting the permits for the cameras that they put on the right of way. I have confirmed yesterday and this evening that all of our cameras did get proper permitting. Flock did an audit of all their cameras in the state when this came up. And a lot of it just has to do with some jurisdictional lines about where the right of way is. That's certainly been a hot topic around here as well. But our cameras are permitted. And that's what they're working on right now. There's not a freeze on these Flock license plate readers because of privacy concerns. The ACLU is going to have a privacy concern with everything the government does. But it is over proper permitting on rights of way, and it will be straightened out. And that lawsuit, there was a lawsuit filed, and it wasn't filed against Flock, it was filed against a company called NDI. So this is all just something that's going to get straightened out, and Flock has actually introduced some legislation to get back on track with DOT so we can get back to business. But I understand the privacy concerns, as I've mentioned before. That's why we went with Flock, because all data is deleted after 30 days. The lawsuit that was filed in the state was regarding certain state entities keeping millions and millions and millions of tag reads forever and ever and ever, and it could breadcrumb trail everywhere you go as you pass. We don't do that. So that's not what Flock is about, and that's one of the reasons why we went with Flock. So I think this is it's been really beneficial to us. It has solved crimes, helped us tremendously. So I hope that we can keep that project moving forward. Any questions?
Any other questions for the chief?
Yes.
Mr.
Mayor,
Baker?
You mentioned the other day that you're actually asking for radios and hospitality.
Yes, sir.
How many are you asking for?
5.
Five.
Yes, sir. A quote here to give you an idea, I brought it tonight. 5 radios with the police specifications for us is $37,325. So they're about $6,600 a piece, plus the microphone, the shoulder for the officers. So it comes to that amount, $37,325.
I didn't want you to get real far ahead of the fire department. You
Well,
both need them. You both need them.
We do both need them. Our radios are older, and that's one reason that we were kind of talking about grant funding, and we will check into that and pursue, what we can. But we can either leave them in hospitality, you can move this funding from the trikes, which I totally understand, into that, if that's what you would like to do. But we're happy with whatever you can allot to us.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Walls.
Kenny, how many will you ultimately need?
I don't have the exact number memorized right now. I think that we have about 30 portable radios.
And you're talking at a cost of $6,600 plus a piece?
Yeah, every 5's $35,000. So it's a big investment, so that's why it'd be good to try to take a couple of chunks as we go.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. And the thing to mention is that the radios are working. The radios we have now are working. But if something goes wrong with them, they can't be fixed. They're done. The paperweight's right at that moment.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Krecklau.
I just, do we have any problems with the radios? I mean, I'm just saying, do you have many repairs that have to be made lately? I know as time goes on, it'll be more.
Well, we sent 3 back, and it's how it came to our attention. We sent 3 in to get checked, and they came back as unserviceable. So Motorola would not repair them anymore. However, I was able to get some parts on Amazon and get them functioning.
So we probably should
Save
be looking
$18,000.
to, we should be looking to replace them.
Yes, sir. They just time. I think we're okay, but if they go out, they're done. If it's a legitimate failure. So they are at end of life for sure.
Motorola likes to do that.
Sure.
I don't think it's a good idea for us to try to buy a bunch of radios. We buy radio access from Horry County. So we don't have our own radio system. So we buy access to that. So we have to use the radios that work on their system. So we're kind of held hostage there. But at any time, Motorola could completely discontinue the radios we have now and come out with a new radio, and then we got to start buying those. That's why I don't think it's a wise financial decision to just buy all new radios. And that's what happened in 2013 when we bought the radios. We had to make a change in the system because we went on the P25 digital system, so we had to buy all new radios. So that's kind of why we're in this dilemma right now. But the police department will be okay doing some capital incremental replacement to get up to speed. And then if there is a change in the future, then we just start buying those radios.
Any other questions for the chief?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we'll move back to the topic at large. Is there any more discussion on the ATAX recommendations on this motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinkin.
this is money that needs to be spent between now and the end of June,
I believe Ms. Gruber
at least committed to.
Yeah, June 2025. So we have the year and a few
Oh,
months.
25, not 24.
Mhm.
Okay.
But these kind of items, it's taking the lag of getting them here is taking a long time, so we need to
Okay.
move forward and get them ordered, PO done, everything, get them encumbered.
Any other questions for Director Gruber?
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're back just to the motion. Is there any other discussion on the motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coleman.
since the chief says he doesn't need any more radios, then let's not give him any more radios. The tri-position professional mobility vehicle training, I still think we should get rid of that. as they say, the difference between men and boys and the price of their toys, I really don't think we need a $28,000 vehicle. So we don't have to cut out from events, because I like events. And if the chief said he needed radios, I'd be all for it. I mean, the most important tool a police officer has is his radio. But I guess he doesn't need it.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Walls?
I'd just like to make a statement in just a broad spectrum. We trust these ladies and gentlemen in these areas that we have listed here, and they have told us, these are all people that have been with us, understand our expectations for the safety and care of our residents and visitors. They were given money and they said, the professionals that we trust said, this is what they need. So I'm just making the statement that I would support the ATAX recommendations as our department heads have requested, and trust them to know what they need. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Stamey?
I'm gonna make a comment back. I didn't hear Kenny say that he didn't need the radios. I missed that part of it.
I believe what I heard was that he said he didn't need them right now, and he had them covered in hospitality tax for now, but he could use them anytime. I think that's some summation of it. And if I'm wrong, chief, you can come back up.
That's correct.
Okay, we're good there. Any other comment?
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Shawn?
I really can't see spending almost 29,000 for these trucks. I think I would rather buy more radios or something else. It's hard to digest the spend, and I know a lot of us think, oh, they're toys. And, it was explained to us, they have heavy equipment, it's hot here and everything. But there's a lot of police departments around here, and they don't have it. And our town is small enough, I don't think we need it.
All right. I'm going to make a couple comments. I think I heard almost universally at our workshop that those vehicles were not well supported. I believe even the chief said he was having trouble selling them to the department, the idea of them. So I think we can look at a amended motion to remove them. I'm not doing that yet. We also have on the table, discussion of the flock system and $25,000 removed from events. I don't know what 25,000 was suggested, but personally, I believe accommodations taxes are paid by people coming and visiting our town, and at least a portion of the money should be put back into events that would bring people to the town. So I am personally in favor of more, if not less, for events. Another item that wasn't mentioned, but Mr. Vincent talked about before, is the inline check valve in Public Works. That was previously budgeted through the stormwater fund, and it's already covered, and it doesn't need to be here as well. So that could be available. I wish Administrator Vincent was here to better explain that, but perhaps some of you remember that conversation as well. I'm not sure. So that summarizes my input for now, and I guess if we can have more discussion, or we can amend the motion on the table. Is there any more discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Shawn?
I definitely agree as far as the events, that the money should stay there. We're really trying to build up our tours. When I'm in line with people, 8 out of 10 people are not from Surfside Beach, and they love this place. They loved our Christmas events, and I just think that we should keep it there.
Okay, I guess I'd like to take these kind of one at a time now.
Mr. Mayor, before we get started, and everybody is talking about for events, This is rollover money for, the pier events. This ain't just money for the town, other town events. This is just for the piers.
Okay, I want to take these one at a time now. So we'll start with events. So go ahead and you can make your point about events, please.
Well, on the events, the supplement for the salary is good, the tents is good, but you got 2 rollovers of grants for the pier opening special. And, that ain't for no other place in town except for the pier. I mean, that's what if you use this as money, and if we don't have a fireworks show to open the pier, that saves $50,000 right off the thing until we can have a grand opening on, my opinion, would be July the 4th, because we already celebrate July the 4th. And why not have that fireworks show, grand opening, big fling, whatever we want to do on July the 4th and save $50,000 out of the 75,000. And if we take even just 20, it would help pay for some of these radios. I just don't see that it hurts. The events, no, I just can't come up with where it hurts.
Any objections if Ms. Small comes and explains what these funds are? Ms. Small, would you please go over that?
Hello again. Yes, so this money has a name on it next to it just because that's the money that we use to roll over. So that's what was planned with this money. So we can change whatever that looks like. Either it be fireworks or, like I presented to you guys before, the Sandcastles and Shag Festival, the Kite Festival. We can change any of that. It's just the name that was rolled over, if that makes sense.
Okay, so it's not committed to the.
No.
Any other questions for Ms. Small while she's here? All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so let's back to events. Is there any other comment on the events? All right. The trike mobility vehicles. I believe, well, is there anybody who wants to make a comment in favor of the trikes? Put it that way. Okay. The flock.
I already did.
You did, no, you said as is, that's right. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. The flock system. Is there anybody who wants to comment on that?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kinkin.
Multiple times Kenny has told, Chief Hoffman has told me how beneficial these are. There's only adding a few more locations, so I would like to see us go ahead and approve that. I don't think this is something that he's gonna come back next year and want more. I think this is kind of, maybe I'm reading between the lines, but this is what he needs to complete the system.
Mr. Cracker.
I'd just like to kind of rescind what I said earlier. I'm okay with it, I guess. It's something that, yes, I don't totally agree with, but yeah, it'll complete all the entrances and exits to town, and then we shouldn't need any more. I just have a problem with the reoccurring costs that it costs.
Well, I'll make a comment about flock and I'll mention cameras, even though that hasn't come up. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of surveillance tools in general. But what I recall from our workshop was that Chief Hoffman said these would basically complete the system for the town. So I intend to hold to that and expect to see no more flocks and no more cameras after this, unless there's, service issues or something like that. I think we've got pretty good coverage for our little town. I guess I'd also like to bring up the inline check valve. If anybody remembers that discussion that Administrator Vincent said about that's already covered in the stormwater fund. Any other comments on that?
Mr. Mayor, it was just my understanding that he was trying to roll it out of stormwater into A-tax because he could and save some money in the stormwater budget. That was my understanding of the works.
Very well, I think, but we were talking about the priority of radios and such is why I thought it came up. So, all right, is there any other comment at all? All right, then I'm going to propose an amended motion to strike the Trike Positron Professional Mobility Vehicle and Training, divert all of that into fire radios, strike the inline check valve, and divert all of that into the fire radios, acknowledging that the police radios are covered in another case. Leave the flock, leave the events as is. Is there a, do I need to actually state that as a motion now? Or is that satisfactory?
Yeah, no, it's
Okay.
fine. It's fine. I just need to know, you said strike the inline check valve and redirect the funds where?
Fire radios, both of them to fire radios. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second it.
All right, and any further discussion?
Just to be straight,
Mr. Coleman?
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You're gonna take the 12,000 from the inline valve and put it towards the fire radios, so that's 62,000 for the fire radios, and then another additional 28,800 to the fire radios?
That's what I said, yes.
Okay, I just want to clarify that. It's gonna be all that money right to the fire radios.
Yeah, again, acknowledging that the police radios are covered in another request in the H-tax. Any other discussion?
I'd like to request,
Mr. Walls?
If we could get the fire department up here and visit with them, I'm interested to know if they feel like they're perhaps in the same situation as Chief Hoffman's in, as far as the system, being afraid that the system might change. And do you want all those radios at one time, or, because that's diverting a lot more money into your radio budget. That's buying you a lot more radios.
Any objections if the chief approaches?
Please
Or
do.
the deputy chief?
I'm gonna be the deputy chief since.
Okay, very well.
Oh, yeah, we've been with Larry on this.
Well, hey,
Go with your question, sir, I'm sorry.
Larry, I'm just trying to understand, are you all in a different situation than Chief Hoffman is, as far as he, because his system may change along the way, he prefers to gradually step into his radios? Where, are you in a different situation where you need a whole lot of radios right now if we divert this money in here so that you can buy basically twice as many as you were expecting to?
Currently, we're all in the same boat, whether it's 13, their radios were in 2013, ours is in 2016. We're all at the mercy of Motorola in every county. It'd be great to have the radios. Our radios still function, but the same thing with the police department. If our radios get damaged going into a fire, no disrespect to the police department, but ours are put through more ruggedity going into fire and so forth. They could be more damage done to our radios and might need them quicker. But overall, we're both in the same boat.
Okay, but you could use more.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Kreckler?
I'd just like to add, I know a little bit about this subject. If you buy them all at once, they basically go out of warranty all at once, which I know isn't a huge problem, but it can be sometimes. And I don't have a problem with putting all the money into the radios, but I'm just trying to make everyone aware that the warranty runs out and then you start paying for maintenance more as time, and instead of, like when you buy computers, you usually try to do a third of them at once because they're all gonna have to be replaced at once if you buy them all at once. Same thing goes for radios, kind of. But that's just my
50,000
2 cents.
covers, sorry, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
50,000 covers how many radios?
You're looking at roughly about $7,200, rounded up, 71 some change, about $7,200 per radio.
So 7 radios for $50,000 roughly, and then another 40 would get you another five or so. So 12.6 radios.
I think the whole thing.
That's what the math works out.
I think the whole, the budget we had, and the quote I gave y'all last council meeting was roughly 24 radios, was 205,000 and some change.
So, and 24 is what you need. So we,
Yes, sir.
with this, you'd be getting half of that.
Yes, sir.
So using your third analogy, it's a little bit over.
No, I don't have a problem.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. King,
I should have asked this earlier. The old radios and new radios are still compatible?
They're still compatible, the old radios just cannot be replaced. I mean,
That's what I
replaced.
understood, but I just wanted to make sure. I had not asked that question if they were compatible. Okay.
Any other discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Stamey?
Your radios cost more than the chief does,
Just about doing the programming and features you put on them.
but it is more expensive.
Yes, sir, probably about between $5 and $10.
Okay, if that's the case, and his is a 13, and yours is
16.
16, they're 3 years different, 3 years newer in the radios, both gonna go out at the same. If they quit working on them, they're both gonna be the same right now. His 13 and your 16 is gonna go out if they quit working on them right now. I mean, I know Kenny's getting some radios through the other grant. Why can't we just split all this up and give each one of them the same amount of radios? You know, if Kenny's getting 5, and this money will buy, say, 14 or 10 radios, why not go ahead and say 5 he gets already, and then divide the rest of them up between both departments?
You want to make a motion?
Yeah, well, I don't know exactly how to make that motion, but yes, I'd like to make a motion to where we divide this money up. Once they get their 5 that Kenny's already getting, go ahead and get the fire department their 5, then take it from there and divide it up to where if he gets 2, police department gets 2, you know, to where we won't all be in the same boat of on down the road, Kenny's all go out, we gotta buy him all of them, or either theirs go out and we have to buy all of them. How about just being equal and try to divide this up between both of them?
If I may, how about we amend it to say the 28,800 and the 12,000, totaling 40,800 gets split 50-50 between the police and fire.
Or
radios. Or
Great.
radios.
That would be great. You know, I hate to see one just the other.
All right.
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay, so we now have an amended motion that,
The second amendment.
yes.
I'll second it.
Yes, you have to second it, okay. So we now have an amended motion, and it's been seconded to take the 28,000 and the $12,000, 40,800, and split that 50-50, leaving the, between the fire radios and police radios, and leaving the fire radios with the 50,000 as is. Is there any other discussion? I think we're ready to vote. Okay, I think,
Mr.
Sean.
King already.
I think-
Sean.
Who seconded?
I second.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. All right, we got a second anyway.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Medina?
Thank you, Larry.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're leaving the check valve.
No, we took that, the 12,000.
Take it out of ATAX and leave it
Yes.
in hospital.
So the 28,000 is
Stormwater.
for the trace, and then the additional $12,000. That's
Yeah.
12,000
From
for
the
the
check.
fire radio.
No, from the check valve. That was covered in stormwater.
Okay, okay. And leave the fire radios and the flop.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, and Mr. Stamey motioned and Mr. Keegan second. Okay,
Yes.
we're ready.
Yes.
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Keegan,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Krecklo,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yes.
Mayor Kraft.
Yes. Okay, then, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We are now moving to item 9C, Resolution 24-0170, resolution of Town of Surfside Beach temporarily suspending enforcement of certain ordinances of Chapter 12 and Chapter 8 for Celebrate Surfside Beach. Ms. Mala is already here.
I am. I'm back. Okay, so this is, again, for Benjamin's Bakery and Waccamaw Publishers. This is their 4th annual event. They give their proceeds to charity for this event. And this year it would go to the Harrison project that Ellen from Keep Surfside Beach Beautiful spoke about. So that's where they want to donate the money this year for this project. Yeah. So for this, what they're asking for is temporary suspension of enforcement for ordinances chapter 12 and chapter 8. Chapter 12, 12-21 would be the first one. And then chapter 1228 would be the second. And then the third one would be chapter 895, and that is for the alcohol. The other two are about the establishments for the cafe, and then the sidewalks and streets closures.
Are there any questions for Ms. Small? Okay, then we'll need a motion to accept.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we accept resolution of the town of Surfside Beach temporarily suspending enforcement of the certain ordinances of chapter 12 and chapter 8 for this resolution.
And that's 24-0178. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Krecklau.
I know there was a lot of discussion the last time we allowed liquor. The way this is written, it basically suspends chapter 8 for drink of any kind of alcoholic liquor and or non-alcoholic or on the streets, alleys, highways, or other public places in the town. Well, that's kind of an unintended, I would think, that because if we're suspending it, it means you can drink anywhere in town.
So this is the 4th year, exactly the same thing that we've done before, and it's only allowed in the barricaded areas.
Okay, so why is it written in, okay, that negates the second part, because I was gonna ask about the big, no weapons beyond this point or whatever.
I don't think we have to
We
do
don't
that
have
for
to
this
do that.
one.
And do we even have to have that if it's just Borgata's? They already have theirs, if it stays within their property.
Right, but the event area goes Third Avenue North, so we
in other
use
words, you're
those
saying-
streets for
in other words,
vendors.
You're
and
saying that you can wander around with your
You
drink.
can within the barricaded areas.
Okay, have we always allowed that?
We have.
Yeah, that's
Okay, I know.
And all of the barricades, just so you know, Mr. Cricklaw, they all have no alcohol beyond this point. And in 4 years, I don't think we've had an issue at all in this festival.
Well, but that same was true at the park last time, and we had these big obnoxious signs that said no concealed weapons beyond this point. So I'm just saying that, were they necessary then, or are they not necessary now?
That's I
That's a
think,
question for Kenny, I guess.
We ain't talking about
Your ordinance presently says that you cannot have weapons at town-sponsored events. That's in your ordinance. So, there's a lot of changes going on with that legislation
But why
right now.
did we have them then at the park that time when it was all controversial? The big signs that said no weapons beyond this point.
Because that was a town event. And
Well, this is
your
a
ordinance-
town sanctioned event. I mean, we're sanctioning it.
This is a town approved event.
Okay.
But it's actually sponsored by someone else, I believe,
It is.
Celebrate Surfside. But I see your point, and but we're just talking the difference between suspending the alcohol ordinance temporarily for the purposes of the event, if council has an appetite for that. But the weapons thing is a whole different conversation that is probably going to need to be had at some point with the new.
Don't get me wrong, I'm all for drinking. You've seen me.
Did I answer your question about the signs?
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on this?
No.
All right, then I think we're ready for a vote.
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Kreckloff,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey.
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yes.
Mayor Kraus.
Yes, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, we are now moving to 9D, the second reading of ordinance 24-0963, an ordinance of the town of Surfside Beach to amend the fiscal year 2023-2024 municipal budget. And we have Director Gruber.
So we went over this about a month ago. If there's any other questions on this, I'm happy to answer, but basically we are adding donations, we are adding grants, and there's one-time capital purchases that were already in the process that we're doing a little bit of roll forward money to cover that.
All right, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we adopt ordinance 24-0963.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for the second reading of ordinance 24-0963. Is there any other discussion? Ms. Medina, will you take the vote?
Ms. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Kreckloff,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
Yes.
Mayor Kraus.
Yes, motion passes unanimously. All right, we're now moving on to item 9E, a motion for rededication of the Surfside Beach Fishing Pier. And that's been brought up by Councilmember Walls. So before we start discussion, would you I'd like to invite you to make the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion, which was the second piece to the one that we approved last time, the removal of the flag. I would like to make a motion that we rededicate the Surfside Beach Fishing Pier to, let me just read. I've done it correctly on paper. As we are now nearing the completion of the construction of the new Surfside Beach Fishing Pier, and will soon be announcing the soft opening celebration with the residents of the town of Surfside Beach, it is my intention to make the following motion, as I am at the next regularly scheduled. Motion to rededicate the Surfside Beach Fishing Pier during the soft opening of the pier with the invited residents of the town of Surfside Beach. This motion is to rededicate the Surfside Beach Fishing Pier to the people of the town of Surfside Beach. This time the motion includes a new plaque to dedicate the Surfside Beach Fishing Pier to the people of the town of Surfside Beach, and then give a brief history of the years piers were constructed and years and storms that destroyed them. And then I give an example. The Surfside Beach Fishing Pier is hereby dedicated to the people of the town of Surfside Beach, South Carolina. The first pier was built on this site in 1953 and has been rebuilt 3 times since due to storm damage. It was destroyed by Hurricane Hazel in 1954, and then again by Hurricane Hugo in 1989, and wasn't rebuilt until 1993. The concrete pier has been under construction since December 2020. It replaces the former wooden pier that was destroyed by Hurricane Matthew in October 2016. And that's just a suggestion that I have for the plaque. So therein ends my formal motion.
Do we have a second? Well, this is, you know
Can we
what?
simplify that motion? I
Well,
mean, that's
The motion,
more.
The motion is to rededicate the pier.
that's true. You
With the
basically
plaque.
did a lot of discussion in before.
I
With
did,
the
so
plaque.
I guess I'm talking more about if we were to do that and include a
Okay.
plaque.
So
But I want to rededicate the pier to the people of Surfside Beach,
So your motion
the
is
town of Surfside
to
Beach.
rededicate the pier to the people of Surfside Beach with a plaque?
Yes,
Okay.
that could be amended.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's now the motion. Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Stanley.
I'll second that motion just for discussion purpose.
That's fine. Before we start the discussion, I did conduct a survey. I'll talk a little bit about that. I'm going to show some results on the screen. So I'm going to get up and turn the projector on and plug in. But, well, give me just a second and then we'll start this.
Mr. Mayor, while you're doing that, my memory says there was a pier, a badly built pier between 1990 and 93. It was,
I don't know.
from 14 blocks away, you could tell it wasn't right. And the surface, they'd used green cypress decking. So maybe 5 piers, not 4.
I don't know, historically, I couldn't find that one, I know you told me about it, but, yeah.
Well, that's not part of the motion, so we won't worry about that
Okay.
part yet, but, okay, I'll plug this in when we're ready to go. Sorry about that. We are technologically challenged here. All right. So we'll start the actual discussion. I'm not gonna show it yet. But I'll just start the discussion. Does anybody want to speak, specifically against the motion first?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Stanley.
I have no problem with dedicating the pier to Surfside Beach, to the residents and public of it. I have a problem with adding a plaque to the pier of any sort. We don't need a plaque. We don't need to spend more money on a plaque that we spent on the last one. So for that reason, I would say that dedicating to the public, to people of Surfside, without a plaque, I'd be fine with.
All right. I may as well just move into this survey and then we can use that as we see fit. So before I show that, I want to be clear about this survey. It serves 2 primary purposes, one for council and one for residents. For you, it allows you to state your views on a few questions and to provide your own words of explanation. I wish we could get a couple thousand responses, but unfortunately, not that many people voting, but this is an opportunity for you to state your point of view. The survey has limitations. It is solely an unscientific questionnaire with no associated margin of error or confidence level as there is with scientific polls. It's not a democratic vote and it's not binding upon council. As such, this is simply a sampling of opinions to be used as a simple tool to help us formulate our opinions. Each council member is free to vote completely in accord with the results or completely ignore the content. In short, each can use the data as he or she sees fit. I contacted the rest of council to develop the questions and solicit opinions, primarily of residents. I think it's safe to assume that each of us at this table have heard opinions from friends and neighbors at these meetings and on social media, but I wanted to cast our net a little wider and delve a little deeper to offer a series of progressive questions to arrive at a more complete understanding of our residents' opinions. We allowed anonymous responses to respect people's privacy, so we cannot be sure that everyone was a resident or that some did not submit multiple replies. There were 215 total responses, but the thing that is telling to me is that 212 answered the first question, rededication yes or no, and the subsequent why or why not elicited 156 verbatim responses. It does not appear many people saw fit to generate multiple long answers. So I hope we will all find the results informative. With that, I'll bring them up. All right, it's not very pretty. I didn't make it into PowerPoint. It's just a simple Excel spreadsheet. The rededicate question, almost exactly 50-50, 108 to 104. The if so, how would it be rededicated? The number 1 answer was just at the grand opening. The new plaque was number 2 though. I missed that 13.8. That should be 30-some percent. I copied and pasted and I didn't update the number, but I think it's about 32 if I remember. If there is a plaque, there were 193 responses to that, and should it have other info? And there were almost 60% said yes, it should. And specifically, well, I'll talk about the verbatims in a little bit. How much should it cost? Almost nobody wants to spend what we spent the first time. And if it's dedicated to whom, the number one was residents, but you can see the town was pretty close behind, businesses, visitors. Others were things, well, I'll talk about that in the verbatims as well. That was actually kind of amusing. So when I went through the verbatims for the rededication question, you know, the number one answer was no plaque. It costs too much money. It's bad memories. You're bringing up reminders. You know, we just want to put this behind us. Well, the number two was put a new plaque dedicated to residents. So it really, it's not 50-50. Like I said, that's about 60-30 in that respect, but it's close, you know, reasonably close. The other info, it was all historical stuff, the kind of stuff that Mr. Walls just read, you know, the storm names and so on and so forth. Some just said for this one, just indicate it was Matthew and put the dates on. Some said just a date and that's it. The one thing that came through was no names of any kind came up over and over and over. The cost, you know, obviously that's pretty straightforward. And if there are no names, you actually can do that, just a couple of words on storms and history. I mean, the previous plaque did have a lot of names, which took up a lot of space. And in the to whom, I mean, the comments just reflected exactly what you see here in the spread of numbers. So I think it was somewhat useful. It's, again, not scientific, but it's info that we can all kind of kick around. And let me expand this. Yeah, we can see pretty much all of it. I'll leave it up while we continue discussing this. Are there any other comments?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Crackwell.
I used to be the liaison for the Historical Society, which doesn't really seem to exist anymore. There's no members that meet, but it's still on the record or on the books. There was, I won't mention any names, but there was someone on the Historical Society that's also on the Horry County Historical Society board that was working on doing informational plaques like they have it on 3rd South for the old, whatever, the plantation. And I don't know where that ended up at. I think he had almost all the verbiage done, but I don't think they had ordered any plaques. And their plan, the Historical Society's plan, was to station the plaques along the pier, kind of, so you could wander the pier and read about the past piers. And they actually were going to have photos of the piers if they could find them. In most cases, I think they had found them. But that's just, I don't know if that should enter into this at all or not, but, you know, I do know that that was being worked on. I don't know where it ended up.
Any other comment? All right, I'm gonna say, having been on the peer committee, the Historical Society came to the peer committee very early in the process and suggested a lot of what you're just talking about. But it does appear the Historical Society has essentially disbanded, and we're trying to generate some interest in getting a new group of folks. I think the current members are still interested but don't want to be on the board, is my understanding. So it'll take some effort to resurrect that activity, I believe. Any other comments on this motion? All right, so right now, we have a motion for a rededication.
Yes, I want, Mr. Mayor.
You want
I want to
amend it? Okay.
Amend it to where we just dedicate the pier to the town of Surfside Beach, or either, it don't matter to me if it's the town of Surfside Beach or the residents of Surfside Beach, both the same thing in my book. But I would like to take out any plaques or anything being made for the pier at this time.
We have a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. So now the motion is to rededicate the pier in indeterminate way.
Yeah, either
But-
to the
Mr.
town or
Mayor.
residents.
Wait,
Well, let me just finish stating it. That's what we have right now, with no plaque. Ms. Fowler.
the word I heard, the people want a plaque, but they want it dedicated to the right people. And people that are like laughing while I'm talking, I don't appreciate it. Okay? Thank you. But we had a gentleman that came up here, spoke about it. He, wanted it dedicated to, and I'm right there with you, residents or town. We're all the same. But I think there should be a plaque there, and it should say the right things. Now, I'm not saying spend $5,000 because that was ridiculous. But I think we can come to a compromise. But I think there should be a plaque, and it should be dedicated to the residents of Surfside Town.
Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor, just a clarification on my motion, that was one of the reasons why I tried to carefully select the verbiage and say people, because it also could cover our residents. I didn't necessarily want to discount a lot of our visitors come here year after year after year after year, and we appreciate them. And they have helped this town become what it is through their ATAX hospitality. So that's why I chose people, because it also includes our very precious businesses as well. So.
Any other comments? Okay, we still have a motion though now for rededication of the pier, but with no plaque. We agree, okay. Any other comments on that? Okay, we're gonna vote on a rededication of the pier to be determined, but with no plaque.
Ms. Fallon,
No.
Mr. Kinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Crickwell,
Yes.
Mr. Stamey,
Yes.
Mr. Walls,
No.
Mayor Kraus.
Yes. Okay, the motion carries 5-2. So with that, we have decided we'll rededicate in some manner to be determined, but we will not pursue a new plaque at this time. With that, we're going to move on to public comments. Do we have anybody that wishes to speak? Okay. Oh, we do have one.
I just wanted to invite everyone on Thursday to our 60th birthday celebration. Yay us that we live in this great town. So please come out, celebrate with us. We have hot dogs, we have birthday cake. We got a pretty cool surprise. We're gonna have the guys, they're gonna be playing live music. We have 4 amazing guest speakers that have lived in this town up to 63 years. And so that's older than the town. So that's so cool. So I'm really excited about that. And then I just wanted to say, if you guys don't know how to sign up to take part in the survey, if you go on our website, there's a link under I Want To, and it lists it under that link. So if you want to be a part of that, just sign up for that on our surveys. And then March 23rd, we have the Children's Fair and Easter egg hunt. So bring out the kiddos. We've got a lot of good things there. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Okay, now we got the ball rolling.
Thank you, Jeff.
Melanie Lane with Bagley, 1510 Cedar Avenue North. I was a little late getting here, so I wasn't here for the introduction of the fire chief, so welcome. We're so glad to have you. But I also wanted to take a minute to just thank Larry. You have stepped up for this town over and over and over, and we really appreciate what you're trying.
Any other speakers? All right, then we're going to move on to town council comments. And I'm going to start with Ms. Shawn.
I appreciate, as we all do, everybody's participation. I used to come here and there was one or two people sitting here. I'd love to know the numbers are listening, because I'm starting to get feedback about that too. Oh, I heard you, I heard them. So it's nice to hear that there's more participation. I greatly appreciate the majority of you respecting us up here. We're trying to do our best. You may not always agree with us, but I know for myself, my opinions, they're not my opinions. They're the people's opinions. They are driving me. I'm having their voice. And as I'm talking right now, there's a couple people out there having side conversations, and it just proves your character, not mine. So you're not going to get to me, and I just appreciate you all coming and being good citizens. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Stanley.
Thanks for everybody coming, and I too want to thank Larry for the job that he's done. He's done it over and over again. This ain't the first time Larry's had to fill in, and I appreciate Larry. Tabitha, I appreciate the event. I appreciate all the people that work for town, Kenny, and every one of you. I really do, but they are hard decisions to make, and I hope I don't make some people mad because of what I think or the way it ought to be. I'm apologizing up front for it if I do. So with that said, come out to our birthday celebration. We'd love to have you. They're gonna have some cupcakes or cake and a few other things. So we would really love to see you out there and come up and talk to us. Most of the council will be there, maybe all, but come up and speak, and I'd be more than glad to speak to anyone in town. With that said, thanks, y'all.
Mr. Krecklau.
Well, first I'd like to say, thanks to all that have showed up. It seems like we get quite a few people anymore, and all those that have called in and joined online. Next, I'd like to say something's been brought to my attention this week that I believe everyone should at least know about. I and other council members have tried to find some answers to some questions by asking the town administrator to look into why some departments in town have what seems to be a very high rate of turnover. The issue is not new. I know that the previous interim administrator, the administrator before, and the current administrator were asked to look into ways to mitigate the high turnover. The only answer I usually get is just throw more money at it and they'll stay. Well, I realize that since the pandemic, it's hard to find good, loyal workers, but pay is not always why people move on, and there are usually other reasons. The town, and especially the affected department heads, need to know what those reasons are before a plan can be made to rectify the situation. Since the issue is not being addressed by management, one counselor asked the other board members if we thought there should be an inquiry. An overwhelming majority of the council agreed to have this counselor discreetly look into the issue. And for a short time period, this counselor was helped by staff. But now he has been told that all information wanted has to be asked for formally as a FOIA request, and is being asked to pay for retrieval and redaction of the information. I would agree that the information in some cases should be redacted because the way I understand it, some of the personnel files are being looked at. But I don't believe anyone on council doing an inquiry that may be of help to the town should be charged any fees. I believe it would be very difficult to find any government agency that requires their board members to pay for information that is needed to do their job. It would appear from the outside looking in that the administrator and/or department heads do not want to know what is causing the town's employees to move on, or possibly they know the cause but do not wish to address and change what may help with retention of employees. I've tried for the last 2 years to make a difference in government of Surfside Beach. It does not seem that my talking to the administrator, previous or current, has worked. It appears that my suggestions have fell on deaf ears or were not liked. So I have decided to bring my suggestions to the citizens. One of my suggestions is to implement a step pay plan for employees. It would help the employees plan for their future and know where they might stand in the next 4 or 5 years. Another suggestion is to make changes to Chapter 2 of our ordinances that would close the loophole that allowed the out-of-control raises to management that occurred last year. Multiple times I have asked the council that the council agenda include the changing of Chapter 2. I am now publicly asking that the council either hold a workshop on Chapter 2 or within the next 2 council meetings add my ordinance changes, which I have with me, to the agenda to be voted on. Please voice your opinions to the mayor, council, and town administrator. Thank you and good night.
Mr. Walls. It's your turn. No, I'm asking you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. I was pondering what I was just hearing. Anyway, I want to thank everybody.
I'm sorry, caught you by surprise.
I want to thank everybody, online and here. It's great to see so many people. And thank you all for participating. We tried to take care of some big business tonight. I know we didn't make everybody happy, but, I approached my resolution, just so you all know, based on a number of people that I talked to during the campaign. I really didn't care whether we did a new plaque or not. I just wanted to make sure we rededicated here appropriately and properly. So anyway, with that, I'll look forward to seeing y'all in another couple of weeks. Thanks for coming out.
Mr. Kincaid.
Good evening, everybody. I am delighted to see this many people here. I hope there are a lot of people listening again. I want to say welcome to our new fire chief. And also in the same voice, I want to thank Larry for the wonderful job he's done over and over again. We have a well-run fire department. We have a well-run police department. We have great staff. I thank all of them. They're very willing to help, and they do a great job for this town. Laverne, Jerry told me the other day that he's redoing Chapter 2, so your part's in there. I've got a part in there, and some others that wanted to do. So we're trying to get it all pulled together and get it in front of us in the next. I don't know. I'm not going to make any promises, but they're working. Let's just say that. We live in a great town, and with that, I want to say God bless to all of you and hope to see you here in 2 weeks.
Mr. Coleman.
Good evening, folks. I'm glad everybody came out. Another good crowd. I also want to thank Larry Carter for standing in again as an interim chief. He's kept this department together. And I welcome the new chief. I don't know if you know it, but the way I understand it, we've been budgeted for 3 additional firefighters, I think since September. And we don't have them. Why? Why are we playing games with people's lives? If you could ask the chief, I've asked the chief, an extra person on that fire apparatus is going to help out a lot. Let's stop playing games with our lives and the lives of people who are willing to risk their life to save us. I also want to talk about what Mr. Krakow brought up. Approximately 2 months before I got on council, my wife was contacted by several former employees of a department in this town. And she was told that there was a high attrition rate. So she FOIA'd, and she found out that there was an unbelievable amount of people, not only in this department, but other departments in this town. So at the second meeting that I was on council, I asked the department head, how many people have you lost in the last year? It was actually 11 months. And he had no idea. Or at least he said he did. When I told him it was 16, and he only had 24 people in his department, that's 2/3. 2/3 of his department was gone. In 6 years, there's over 65 people left that department. So I did, yes. You can argue if I should have done it, if I should have made the inquiry. But staff refused to make the inquiry. So I went and I asked why. And I did it the way I was told to do it. I was told to ask through the town clerk at first, and then I was told, no, you just go through staff and let the administrator know. And that's what I did. And I found out some things. I'm not going to discuss it here, but I did find out things. And it's important to find out. At first, I thought it was salaries. No, I don't think it's salaries. But everything was fine. They said they were busy. They couldn't get it to me. I said, no problem. Whenever you can get this information to me, I'm fine with it. Next thing they told me was that, well, we're too busy to do it. You can come in and go through the files. I said, that's not a good idea. I don't believe anyone really should be going through the files. And they reassured me, no, it's fine. You can go through the files. I went through the files and I wrote notes down. I didn't take copies of anything. And then I came in, I had all my notes, and I came in and I asked staff, this is what I need. And they told me, that's fine, you can have it. Up until the head of that department came in, and what I was told from staff is that the head of that department said he was going to sue the town if I continued my inquiry. I'm going to repeat that again.
I don't think we want to get into, that's kind of like a hearsay thing. I mean, I understand, it's just, I understand, but please.
What's so funny, Gail?
No.
We all know.
Please, there's no interaction here. There's no interaction. Ma'am, there's no comments from the public at this point.
So after that.
I'm asking him not to do that.
So after that, the administrator told me that you have to stop looking until you get a majority of council to say it's all right. Well, I talked to five council who also were concerned about what was happening. And they said, yeah, keep going, look at it. I was also encouraged by the mayor because at the first meeting after I asked about everyone leaving, he told the whole room, we're going to look at this in January. So here we are now. I have been blacklisted from town hall. I was told that all I had to do was ask the administrator. Well, I asked the administrator, and the mayor was there, and I put my request in, and I was told that I have to pay $400 to find out why a certain department has left, all those people have left. I work for you guys. I'm not doing a witch hunt. I'm not doing a fishing expedition. It's a fact. 60-some-odd people have left in 6 years. We're now up to 17 in 1 year and 5 days. There's a problem, folks. I was just trying to find an answer. But when people say, people shut you down, and I also had a scathing letter written by the lawyer who lied through the whole thing. He had no idea what I asked for or what I did.
Please don't say that. You don't agree with his opinion, I get it. But, yeah.
Well, all right. Well, that's the story, folks. I came on to ask the hard questions. Unfortunately now, I can't get answers. And so if anyone else on council, in my opinion, if they ask the wrong question, they're not gonna get the answers. And then it falls down to you folks. You probably won't get your answers either if you ask the wrong question. Thank you.
You're doing a great job, Harry. Keep it up.
Please no public comments now. I'm sorry, but, okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. I'll address some of the things that were said. On chapter 2, yes, I have seen the same thing. Mr. Vincent is working on a rewrite of several sections, including Mr. Kreklow's suggestion. As for the fire budget, I know Deputy Chief Carter has been working on it. I'm sure Chief Nelson will pick it up, but looking at additional staffing. Pertaining to my conversations with Mr. Coleman, what I said was that I support every council member being able to do his job the way he sees fit, to conduct investigations within the scope of the law. He did work through Mr. Vincent, and he got approval for everything he did. And the conditions did change over time. And I'll just leave it at that at this point. Just that he had more restrictions put on him as he was doing the things that he was doing back in December and January. Moving on from that, I'll get back to the pier a little bit. I just want to say, does your opinion matter? And does anyone really listen to what you have to say? So I do. My personal opinion about the pier is that it should have a plaque. It's a historical structure as it's replacing a number of piers destroyed by storms over about 60 years. I personally read plaques when I visit other places for their historical value. I'm not particularly interested in the names of the public officials who were in place at the time, even if their efforts and personal actions may have been absolutely necessary to complete the project. I found it surprising to read a few comments indicating the questions demonstrated a foregone conclusion, but then I was pleased. I generated the topics and got input from other council members, but I enlisted the help of a communications professional to actually word the questions. And I didn't know where they were going to go. My personal opinion a few weeks ago was just to move on and get the pier open and leave the old plaque as it was. That's the direction I had planned to head. But I listened to the residents, and I agreed to work with the entire council as well. Those were my promises. And so that's what you've seen in these results, that council addressing this issue and the survey where residents were able to express their opinions represent those commitments working in tandem. And what I found was residents don't appear to like the way the plaque was originally handled and don't want to try another plaque to remedy the situation. And that was reflected in my vote this evening. I hope that more and more of you continue to engage in the business of the town to better inform your council members. I thank you all for coming. I thank those online and our staff for its great support throughout the meeting. With that, I'd like to have a motion for adjournment.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Stanley.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
There are cupcakes in the back, so make sure you guys take those home with